Hi, everyone. Go ahead and mute yourselves for the beginning. But just to introduce myself, my name is Ella. I am a Healthy Living Program Student Assistant.
And I'm Madison. I'm a student assistant as well. Welcome to our workshop.
And for the first few minutes, we're going to start at around 3:04, 3:05. But for now, please go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat. Simply your name, your major, your year. And while you guys do that, I'm going to go ahead and drop the check-in link for you guys to fill out. And Madison's just going to play some music in the background. So I'm going to drop the link to the chat. Okay, for those just coming in, please go ahead and check in using the link I just dropped. I love to see how I see faces now. Feel free to turn on your cameras. It's a comfortable space here. So thank you all for coming. It is 3:05, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. So welcome to our goals workshop. Basically, today we're going to learn about setting goals, obviously, right? But not just any goals, goals that we are able to achieve, but also able to celebrate and just be happy about. So before I start, be sure to check in using the link on your screen. But we're gonna go on to the next slide now.
The Amazon thing. Oh yeah.
And be sure to mute yourselves, please. Okay, good. So, of course, we have to define what exactly a goal is. So, a goal here is something that a person basically envisions, plans, and commits to achieve. So, when we create goals for ourselves, these are the elements that are very important for staying on track and motivated. So, just take a minute right now. So, think about any previous goal that you've had before, right? Whether it's a goal that you're still working on right now, or it's a goal that you completed, you were successful, or maybe it was a goal that was not as quite successful as you had planned, right? So now that you have thought of that one particular goal, I want you to go ahead and ask yourself, so do you or did you, whether it's now or then, did you, number one, did you envision yourself achieving that goal? Right? Did you see it in your future? Did you not? Right? Number two, did you make an action plan for it? And did you go forth with it? But most importantly, number three is if you committed to that goal, right? To that end goal. So as we go through this presentation, I want you to think of these three elements, right? Envisioning, planning, and committing. And then from there on, we're just gonna keep on going with setting goals for today. So let's go on to the next slide. And thank you, Naomi, for sending the link once more. Okay, so here, Madison's gonna go ahead and transition to a Menti. I'm pretty sure you all kind of know what Menti, how it works. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna go on to menti.com on your screen and use the code and type that in, 4492. 76 and 8. So to start out this workshop, I'm pretty sure all of us want to know, just to get an idea of what we want to accomplish in 2021, right? So we're going to put 2020 on the back of our heads, right? It was a completely hard year on us all, right? But we're going to set some good intentions today for the new year by creating some goals for ourselves and focusing on our path to success, right? So go ahead, just go on this Menti right now and answer the question. All of the responses are anonymous, so feel comfortable in how you respond, but just splurge it out, just write it. What do you have planned for 2021, right? So, for me, as everyone is putting their answers, I'll share my own publicly, right? So for me, I want to be happier, right? Less stress. I want to stay healthy mentally and physically. And I know I'm capable of doing that because, hey, I tell myself every single day, I can achieve this as long as I put my mindset to it. So that's what I kind of want to get down in 2021. So we have some answers here. I want to lose weight and possibly ask my girlfriend to marry me. Oh my goodness, I'm excited for you. Although I know these are anonymous, but I'm extremely happy for you. But that is a wonderful goal for 2021. We have others here to be active. Of course, you want to be healthier. Let's see, at least 2 to 3 travels this year. Yes, I would love to travel. I just don't have enough money, but that's okay too. Let's see, passed my last section of the CPA exams. Okay, good luck with that. I know you can do it. Put your mindset to it. Study hard. Put my art out there more often. I love it. I love the diversity in all of the majors everyone have said. Just put your creativity out there. And who knows who will see it? Who knows who you will inspire, right? To be more positive. Yes, of course, positivity rules over anything. Pass all the classes and to be happy. Someone said, get that bag. I support that. To be involved in the lab, of course. Always be involved with what you're studying and so on. Let's see, want to do well in my classes, of course. Practice good sleep hygiene, be more productive, and get an internship offer. All right, these are awesome answers. Someone said, grow my garden. I love to garden. I love plants and everything. Let's see, and graduate. So all of these, honestly, I love these. Even though they are anonymous, I just love seeing what other people have planned, because it's just, even though it's kind of like this small insight, I just, I admire it so much, in my opinion. And we have some more answers coming in. I want a 4.0 GPA and I want to get fit to feel better. I want to get my certificate in SolidWorks, be better at time management and get an internship, eat healthier. These are so many goals. And then I hope that you accomplish this throughout 2021. And let's go back to the presentation, but thank you all for sharing some insight of what you have planned. We are all wishing me, myself, Madison, everyone here, ourselves prosperity and success throughout the whole entire year. Just keep that healthy mindset and you can get anywhere and wherever you want with that mindset. So we're gonna go on to the next slide. So we're gonna start with some myth versus facts, of course. So number one is failing to finish a goal in the past means you'll fail to finish it this time. So just drop in the chat, fact or myth. Is it a fact or a myth? Okay, we got everyone says myths. Super easy, right? So of course, failing to finish a goal. Look, there's going to be missteps and failures. I'm the type of person to never sugarcoat things, right? I always tell myself, look, even though I may fail here and there, I like to see it as a learning experience rather than something that will hinder my future success or your future success, right? So you might stumble here and there, but there even might be people in your life that may not be there to support you from the beginning, right? But with the right mindset, with the right people in your life, the right resources, there will come a time and place where you will accomplish that goal. So we're going to go on to the next one. Great job, everyone. Okay, so the next one is goals have to be huge and very far into the future. So is that a myth? Is that a fact? All right, myth. Love it. So that is a myth. Good job. So I'm trying to come up with some examples. So, we love to hear goals that are like super huge. Like, I'm going to have this degree, right? I'm going to get my master's, my doctorate, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to have this many kids. I want to be in this country. I want to have this amount of money, right? All of these goals, they sound so good, right? But, they don't necessarily have to be that huge and that far into the future, right? You can have a goal, but you can have that big goal, right? But you can break it up into several smaller ones, so that not only can you celebrate those tiny, smaller wins each time, you're also able to keep it within your reach. So great job. It is a myth. So we're going to go on to the next one.
So sharing your goals with friends improves your chances of reaching them. What do we think? Oh, I'm getting both. So it is in fact a fact. So sharing your goals is going to make sure that other people know them. It's going to kind of build this community of people that know what you're going for. It's going to motivate you. We don't have control of a lot, but we do have control of this. So we can spread it with other people. We can let them know. We can build the confidence from having people motivate us by knowing. Let's do one more. So goals are fixed once written down. What do we think? So I'm getting myth. So yes, it is a myth. So not everything's set in stone. When you write down a goal, you're writing down what you think is going to happen. But we can't predict life. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen in a month. And if you write down a goal that's just, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. It's better to kind of change it and make sure that it is something you can reach rather than just scrapping it all together and making this goal that you can't even achieve. So if you write something down and it's not going to happen, change it up, fix it, make it so that this goal works for you. So why set goals at all? So sometimes you're thinking, well, this isn't what I want to do. Why do I need to write it down? Why do I need to give myself this defined goal? So setting an actual goal helps give you focus. It helps to kind of like take this big broad idea you have and put it into something small. It's kind of a little bit like archery. If you're setting an arrow and you're not looking at where you're going, it's going to go over the target. You're going to miss it completely. Having kind of like that idea in mind makes it a little more defined. It makes it a little more reachable. So it also allows you to measure progress. I don't know about you guys, but when I see this big scary goal and I have no idea how I'm going to get there, it seems out of my reach. But if we break it down into saying, well, in 1 month I'll get here, in 2 months I'll get here, it makes it easier to measure, and it helps to give you like a little boost every time you reach that like mile marker of your progress. So it also helps you to set mental boundaries. So you have this end goal. You don't want to steer off path. You want to make sure that you stay on target, stay focused. And so writing down and having this goal in mind that's very clear helps you reach that. So procrastination, we all procrastinate. But if we have a goal in mind that we know of that's definitive, you're less likely to try and push it off to another day. And finally, setting a goal motivates you. Having this idea in mind, it makes you say, in 1 month I'm going to be here, in 2 months I'm going to be here, and it makes you want to get there so much faster. So now we're going to do a Padlet, and you guys can scan the QR code, or you can go to the link that's on the screen or in the chat in a second. And I'm going to switch there in just a minute so that we can look at the answers. But you're going to answer as many as you can on this screen. Try and think about your answers, and whatever is the first one that comes to mind doesn't necessarily need to be what you write down, but use it to think about. So I'm going to give us one more moment, and then I'm going to switch over to that screen. Okay, so there's a bunch of questions on the screen. So we have, what are my values? What/who drives me to be the best version of myself? What do I ultimately want to achieve? Why do I want to achieve this? Why is it meaningful to me? And what would my best friend/partner say are my goals? So tons of answers already. So what are my values? I'm seeing goal getter, yes, creativity, communication, loyalty, determined AF, positivity, kindness, honesty, love yourself and others, ambitious, honesty. Yes, those are all goals that we kind of keep and we hold to our standards. There's something that's important to us. And so what/who drives me to be the best version of myself? I'm seeing myself, my mother, friends and family, my homegirl, my parents, my boyfriend, my mom, my girlfriend, my toddler. Yes, so it doesn't necessarily need to be someone else. You can be the person that drives you to be the best version of yourself. But it's important to have someone in mind who's going to help make sure that you are getting to who you want to be. Okay, so let's see. What I ultimately want to achieve? Eating healthy, calmness in my mental state, peace, mindfulness, life, peace of mind, grad school, happiness. Yes. So these are kind of like these big ideas of what we want in life. They're not necessarily our goals. You can't just set out for a goal of peace, but you can make that something that you're going to work towards. So why do I want to achieve this? So waiting on that one, but relieve stress, be present, to enjoy life at the fullest. I need my time and a mind clean, not doubting myself and know that I am worth it. Yes, less stress to be successful, get out of poverty. Yes. So everyone has a reason behind their goals. You don't necessarily say this is my goal and there's no reason behind it. There's always a backing behind it. It's important to make sure that you know that and you look at yourself and look, why do I want to reach this? And so what would the people in your life say your goals are? To graduate, achievement, success, to be happy, to meet Will Ferrell, to live in Mars. A little bit of funny ones. So you guys can actually save this link and look back at it at another time. And remember that it is here and you can look back and say, if I'm a little bit lost, what do I want to do? What am I looking for?
Okay, I just want to say I loved all your answers. I loved all the honesty you all put into it. So moving on, before we actually set our own goals, I just want to give you some tips on how to set goals. So tip number 1, right? Use positive language. So what does positive language even mean, right? So I'm going to give you some examples. So there's going to be words that you're going to use. So replace should with will, right? So I should do this, I should do that, right? But that doesn't sound as great as I will do this and I will do that, right? When you use the action word will, right, you make it more of a commitment to yourself. So that's just one example. Also, another example is change the word soon. I know we all use the word soon in our daily language, right? But change that into a specific timeline. So what does soon mean to you, right? So if you want to finish a paper, right? And I say, I'm gonna finish this paper soon, right? What does that actually mean? You mean at the end of the week, at the end of the month, right? Be sure to put a specific timeline because it can be hard to commit to a goal if it doesn't have a specific date. Right? And another example is you want to change need to want to, right? So I need to do this. It just doesn't sit right in my ears, right? It has to be I want to do this, right? This way it would frame it more personally and more positively. So the next tip here is separate goals and to-dos. So goals are what you want to achieve, right? And the to-dos are the tasks you must do to achieve that goal, right? So it's kind of like an umbrella, right? You have the goal here and then you have to-dos branching out. So for example, if the goal is to drink 32 fluid ounces of water, right? We all want to stay hydrated, right? Because that's important. The to-dos for that would be you're going to drink this amount of water by this time and so on, right? So that's just a simple example of what goals and to-dos and how they're different. And the next tip is write it down. So I'm going to tell you, there is power in writing it down, right? So studies show that there is some type of, brain to hand connection, right? That comes into effect. So writing it down helps that goal stick in your head and it increases the chance of you actually achieving that goal. So remember that, just write it down. I myself, I'm not a type of person to write stuff down, right? But, once in a while, if I want to get something done, I'll put it on my board, put it on a sticky note. So that's just another tip. And the last one here is set priorities within your goal. So priorities, what do I mean by that? So only you know the priorities you must set to finish that specific goal. So for example, you can set aside no work time into your schedule, right? Or you can plan your day the night before, or you can, schedule just your most important tasks first and so on. So these are just some priorities, but once again, it depends on what your goal is. So these are just some tips. So we're going to move on to the next slide of a little example, right? So here are just two goals. They both share the same objective, right? You want to save money for a new car, right? So I want everyone, go ahead and choose left or right, drop it in the chat, left or right, which one sounds like the goal you would actually follow. So just drop it in the chat, right? And now, of course, I just want to say that, of course, this goal is not going to be relatable to everyone, but, you know, maybe it is. But either way, we have probably at one point have said, like, I'm going to save up for I should save up for this or that, whether it's like concert tickets, shoes, AirPods, whatever. We can all relate to this goal somehow. But everyone is saying right, and I'm glad everyone has said right. But instead of focusing on what's right, we're going to focus on the wrong today. So what's wrong with the left side? Just tell me, like, is it the wording? Like, tell me down in the chat what's wrong. There's a couple things wrong with this. Too vague, not specific. Yes, the language used, right? So in the previous slide, I discussed, yep, someone got it, Naomi got it. In the previous slide, I said positive language, right? So, for example, Naomi said soon instead of a specific timeline. So once again, what does soon mean, right? But also there is I should start. To me, that doesn't sound good to me. It should be I will, right? Making it a commitment to yourself, right? So this was just honestly just an example of, you know, the way you write it down, even the way you say it matters, right? Just like that small change in how you word things can impact your chance of actually completing that goal. So just keep that in mind. Always keep that positive language, and just watch how you write your goals. So we're going to move on to the next slide.
So SMART goals. Has anyone heard of SMART goals, or do you have no idea what this is? Kind of put in the chat if you've seen this before, this is new. No idea? No. Okay, so a few people haven't seen this before. And a few have. Okay. So for the people that know it, we're just going to go over it. And if you've never heard of it, SMART goals is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So it's kind of a way to keep your goals from being this really, you know, vague, unknown thing, and making it so that they're more of an action, making it so that they're more easy to reach. So when we say specific, we want to make sure your, you know, goals aren't vague. You don't want to say, you know, as using the last one as an example, I'll save money soon, I'll do this eventually. You want to make sure that it is something that is an action word. I will do this now. In 2 months, I will do this, you know, and you want to make sure that it's something that you understand and you won't look back and say, well, I'm not sure when I've reached this goal. So measurable, you want a way to evaluate your progress. You don't want to just say, this is the start and this is the end. If you're saving money for a car, then you'll know, well, I'm halfway there, you know, I have this X amount of money left to go. So achievable, it's within your scope, it's possible. You don't want to say, I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow. It's not really possible. It's not something you're going to achieve. Relevant, is this something that is important to you? Is it aligning with your efforts and needs? Or are you doing something because someone else told you to, or you think it's the right thing to do? And finally, we have time bound. So you want to make sure that you know when it will get done. Kind of have a frame of mind in, you know, a time frame in mind. You don't necessarily need to say on November 3rd, I will accomplish this, but you do need to say by the end of the year, within 3 months. Kind of have that idea in mind, because you want to make sure it's something that is, you know, relevant to your time. You want to make sure that it's not something you're going to, you know, 10 years down the line not know if you've reached or not. So we're going to go over an example in case this is still a little bit confusing, because it's a lot to take in.
Okay, so I was trying to think of like what goal everyone would kind of relate to the most. So here on the top, it says goal, I will be healthier, right? Everyone wants to be the healthiest version of yourselves, right? So what we're gonna do in this small activity is I'm gonna go over a smart way to word it, right? So for my version of I will be healthier is my specific, what I will do is I will eat healthier by keeping my plate a half fruits and veggies. So I want everyone down in the chat. Of course, this type of goal does not relate to everyone, but I want everyone down in the chat, write down your specific, right? State what you will do in relation to being healthy. So everyone just take like 20 seconds, write down in the chat your specific. So whether it's I'm going to exercise like 30 minutes every day, or 30 minutes, you know, every other day, whichever. Or it's to do some self-care once in a while, right? So after, oh, yes, Tiffany, we'll go back to it. Okay, so I will cut junk food from my diet. I will get better at piano by practicing 30 minutes every day. Yes, good. I will make a fruit smoothie every morning. Okay, good. So these are all specifics. This is what you will do. I will successfully work out every day, even if it's a little bit. Perfect. So that's your specific. Keep that in mind. I will limit my carb consumption. Great. Awesome. So now we're going to move on to the measurable. So measurable, provide a way to evaluate your progress. So for me, for my half plate, you want to keep a meal prep journal or a daily food log. But for the ones that you have said down in the chat, if you want to exercise, right, there's so much technology out there. You can use a Fitbit app, a MyMapRun, so many of these things. Or you can keep a, exercise log. If you want to, what else do we have here? If you want to, make a fruit smoothie every morning, keep some reminders on your phone. Like, these are ways that you can measure your progress. Someone said, I will get better at piano by practicing 30 minutes every day. Awesome. I play piano too. Fun facts. But a way to measure that, right? You can easily, once again, put reminders on your phone. You can have a schedule that you can make to measure your progress of whether you have done that throughout the week. So let's move on to achievable. Here, go ahead, ask yourself, is it within your scope, right? So for the example that I have here, it's impossible for me to eat healthy every single day, right? That is just completely out of my reach, right? So for achievable, you want to be sure that it's attainable, right? Like that you can accomplish it, right? So make it realistic in a way. So for me, that's at least 2 of my meals will include that half plate method, right? But for other people, depending on your goal, you might, if you want to exercise, I'm going to do that for, 3 times a week rather than 7 days a week, right? Just be sure that you don't tire yourself out. So that's just an example. So let's move on to relevant. And I love how some people are going along with me with the SMART method. So for relevant, you want to ask yourself, does this align with your efforts? Or what's another way to put it? How is it important to you, right? Ask yourself, why? Why am I doing this, right? For me, it's I want to feel more energized, right? If someone said junk food makes me feel tired, right? It's relevant to you because you want to feel more awake, right? More motivated to exercise or do this and that, right? And there's so many other examples here that I could use. So of course, I'm always using the exercise one, but keep in mind, ask yourself, why am I doing this? How is it important to me, right? And then the last one, time bound. This one's easy. Put a specific time date to it. So for me, I'm going to check my progress at the end of every other week. For some people, it might be every week, maybe at the end of every day, right? Depending on the scope of your goal, right? So this is just steps, right? This takes time to put it all together, right? But thinking about it, it increases your chance of actually completing the goal rather than having the goal of I will be healthier or I will do this or I will do that. So we're going to go on to the next slide, which puts it all together. So the main goal is here, I will keep my plate half fruits and veggies and will check my progress every other week. And if you noticed, right, it only has the specific and the time-bound element to it. It doesn't have the measurable, it doesn't have the achievable or the relevancy, right? But it's important to also have those other 3 elements kind of like in your subconscious, because without it, how are you going to measure your progress? Why am I doing this, right? So just looking at it, would you rather follow the goal, I will be healthier, right? Or will you follow the goal right below, which is more specific, right? So keep in mind when you're having these goals, when you say these goals out loud, be sure that it holds more meaning, right? Don't keep it vague, keep it specific. So we're going to go on to the next slide.
So now you're going to take that goal if you were following along with us, or if you haven't written down anything yet, and you're going to write down your SMART goal. So share it in the chat if you would like, if you feel like you can. If not, and write it down somewhere. Even if you write it in the chat, make sure that on your phone, on a piece of paper somewhere, write it down so that you have it. And as Ella said, you don't necessarily need to write down all 5 parts if they're implied. Sometimes the achievable and relevant, they're more of an implied part, but you want to make sure that you have something that is clear to you and is going to help you reach your goals. And it doesn't need to be a whole paragraph. It can be just a statement, sentence. And it's important, as we mentioned earlier, that you want to make sure it's written down somewhere so that you can reference back on it. And so you kind of have that hand-eye coordination, hand-mind coordination going on, even if you're just typing it. So I'm seeing, I will cook a healthy meal for my family once a week and will increase times when comfortable. Yes, so start out slow. Start out with something that you know you can do. You can definitely cook a meal once a week. And make sure that when you feel like you can do it, kind of work towards doing it more. Definitely cooking is something that is my goal for the year, is to try and eat out less, to eat healthier more. Yes, I can go back to that slide. So if you guys need to see what's on the SMART goals slide while you're writing out your goals, so you want to make sure that your goal is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So I see I'll walk 3 times a week outside during sunset time. Yes, it's very nice to walk when it's cooler out, not necessarily in the middle of the day when it's hot. Eat healthier by switching to alternative snacks, which I can prep at the beginning of each week. Meal prep, it's amazing when you can have the time to kind of make sure that you're ready for the week so that when you get to the busy parts of the week, you already have something to eat and you're not inclined to go just grab something quickly. Yes, so we're gonna move on now, but definitely keep telling yourself your goals. You can keep putting them in the chat if you have them. So now that you kind of have an idea of what your goal is, maintaining progress, how do we make sure that we don't give up when it starts getting tough? How do we make sure that we keep going? So community, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the myth versus fact, but having people to rely on and support you can make your goals seem less scary and can make sure that you reach them in the end.
And here, the next one is realistic expectations. So of course, it's a new year, new semester, right? And you might be feeling pressured to make some changes in your life, but always know your limits, right? Like how much time you can dedicate to that goal. That also includes being able to choose flexible deadlines that match your schedule, right? Just be sure, try not to over promise yourself or tire your mindset out, because we don't want that, right? We want to stay positive, we want to stay happy and healthy. And the last one here, which is my favorite one, right? It is to celebrate milestones. So way back in the beginning of the presentation, I had said, if you have this huge goal, break it down into smaller ones, right? And by doing that, you can celebrate all of those small wins up until you reach that huge goal that you have, right? So recording, all your progress helps you appreciate these small wins, and then in turn boosts your self-confidence. And then you can use that self-confidence to leverage it and towards future successes, right? So always remember to treat yourself after every small win. And that's just the whole main takeaway. Treat yourself. Okay. And to end off the presentation, right? Well, not to end off, we're not done yet, but we want to leave you with an affirmation that you will create right here and right now. So does everyone know what affirmations are? Just drop down in the chat or have heard of it before, because if you're a regular at HLP, you know that affirmations are a big one for us. So we have some yeses. Good. I love affirmations, right? It has such a huge impact on you if you use it right. So affirmations are what keeps, our thoughts of success going, right? It opens up possibilities that we may have never even thought of, right? But most importantly, it defines our focus. So it's what keeps us on target. It's what keeps us motivated, and we need to focus in order to get our goals accomplished, right? So affirmations are basically, short and brief. They're only a few words, right? But they do carry a lot of meaning, and meaning to the one who is saying it. So just remember that at the bottom, I put you become what you believe, because that is true. That is very true. So as we go on to the next slide, this is where you're going to create your own very affirmation for you to say to yourself so that you feel more motivated to achieve that goal.
So if you've never made an affirmation before, there's kind of a few things you want to keep in mind when doing it. So you want to make sure it's an I statement. This is your affirmation. Relate it back to yourself. There's power in saying, I will, I am, I can. So use a dynamic emotion or feeling word. So what does that mean? That means something that's going to make sure that you are impacting, it has an impact on you. So I am powerful. I am capable. Kind of those words that kind of, make you want to do it. So state it in the positive. You definitely want to make sure that there is no negativity in your affirmation. This is your time to make sure that you can do this. And keep it brief. You don't need a whole paragraph to tell you, your affirmation every day. Keep it one sentence, very short and sweet. And so once you guys have an affirmation, you can put it in the chat. So I'm seeing a few. I can do anything and reach any goal that I put my mind to. Yes, I can learn something every day. I am enough. I forgive myself. All I need is within me now. Thank you. Yes, definitely the positives, the I statements, the brief, using those words that mean something to you. So you want to make sure that you're going to use this affirmation. Try and use it every day. Try and tell yourself that you can do this. Your goals are within your reach.
I'm definitely going to share my own because I love affirmations, even though I'm not much of a writer, but I always like to have one in my head. So one of my favorite ones, which is probably one that everyone probably has heard before, but it's I will overcome every obstacle. So I use the action word I will, right? So it's super short and brief. I will overcome this every obstacle, right? It's brief, but to me, it holds a lot of meaning when I say it to myself, especially if I'm feeling I am not capable of doing something. But most importantly, honestly, it just applies to my life so well, academically and personally. So that's why I keep that affirmation, stuck in my head. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
And I'm seeing I can do everything when I believe in myself. I am bright. I'm seeing a song as your affirmation. Yes. So make sure that, if it's a song, listen to it. If it's a statement, write it on a sticky note, stick it on a mirror, stick it on your door, put it in your phone, make it on your lock screen. Keep it so that you see this, so that you are constantly reminded that what your affirmation is true. And so if you're having a little bit of trouble coming up with an affirmation, we do have a Pinterest board with affirmations. So you can take one of them and you can make that your own affirmation. If not, you can just look at them and see other ones. So the link is in the chat. You want them. And just kind of to finish off our workshop, we're going to leave you with a quote, which is never give up, for that is just the place and time that the tide will turn. So yes, your goals are reachable. Just when you think it's hard, you're almost there. You can do this. So we're starting a new year. Keep that in mind when it gets tougher. I am able. My challenges help me grow. Yes, those are some great affirmations. And so the link is on the screen too for the evaluation. It's going to be in the chat in a second. Make sure that you fill it out for the Perks program. So we're going to go over the Perks program now.
Okay, so has everyone here, or who has not heard about the HOP Perks program? I just want to get a gist of where everyone is at. Okay, we have some no's. Okay, so basically, oh, okay, great. So great that I'm explaining it right now. So if you follow us on social media, we do this kind of like HLP Perks program where if you attend one group session, one event, and one workshop, all in 1 month, right? So these are all the events for the month of January. If you attend one of each, you will be notified via email of a giveaway that's really cool. We've actually advertised it already. It's a blue Healthy Living Program hoodie. So to get that, it's on our social media if you want to take a look at it too. To get that, you have to attend one of each section or category here. And in order to be contacted via email, right, you have to fill out this goals eval or the evaluation at the end of each event or session. So that is how you would get the giveaway. So does anybody have any questions on how it works? Other than that, I put down the link on the chat. And I want to thank everyone for coming to this workshop. And I hope that in 2021, you accomplish these goals because it takes a lot of work and effort. But if you have that mindset to it, then you can do anything you put your mindset to. So does anybody have any questions?
And thank you guys for coming and learning about your goals.
Kayla, you were saying?
Yeah, is there any way that I could access this PowerPoint?
To access this PowerPoint,
Or like, can you email it?
Honestly, yeah, I could email it to you. Just go ahead and private DM me your email.
Okay.
All right. Good.
Thank you.
No problem. So Madison's gonna go ahead and play some music in the background, but we'll be here if anybody has questions, or if the link doesn't work, just let me know. Thank you all for coming.